When I started working for building operations at Madison Square Garden, one of the first major projects they had me do was a locker clean out. At the time, they were considering building a whole new locker room because they were like, we are just out of employee lockers. We are hiring people, we have nowhere to put them. We've got to build a new locker room. Like, they were literally looking with architects to figure out where they were going to put this locker room. And I said to them, I was like, well, do you have a list of locker assignments? Like, do you know who's in each of the lockers? And they're like, oh God, no. Like, these people, since the building's been built, like, people just take lockers, somebody leaves, you know, they take the lock with them, and then somebody gets into the new locker. And I said, well, before you do anything, we should find out who's in what lockers so we can see if there are actually available lockers, and maybe the locks just were never taken off. So the very first thing that I did was I put notes on every single lockers, and we're probably talking at least 400 or 500 lockers. In two different locker rooms, because there's the women's locker room and then there's the men's locker room. And the note said, drop this off by Garden Services office by this date. And if you haven't claimed this locker by that date, we're going to cut the lock. So what we found out very quickly was that many employees had 2, 3, 4 lockers. You know, these folks that had been there for decades, when people would leave, they would just take another locker. So we had to go back to everybody and tell them that, yeah, you only get one locker. So the other thing that happened is, yeah, a lot of people would leave and they just wouldn't take their stuff with them. So we had a day where I had the laborers with me and we had bolt cutters, and if the locker wasn't claimed, we cut the locks off. And boy, let me tell you, the treasure trove that was in some of these lockers. Yeah, some of them, it was just garbage and junk and there was a lot of cleaning out to do. But some of them had like some real kind of treasures and memorabilia that were left behind. So that was really fun to find. Like, these are, I kept them. These are a bunch of the magnetic schedule. So the Nixon Rangers and Liberty every year would give out a magnetic schedule that has all their dates. And some of them are like this is 91, 92 Knicks, and 94, 95 Knicks, 98, 99, let's see, 98, 99 Rangers. So that's kind of cool. I got like all these vintage, you know, I don't know what I'll ever do with them, but they're kind of cool to see. But one of the favorite things that I found was this. So this is one of the original uniform jackets from Madison Square Garden when the building was first built. So this thing is probably from the 70s. I've washed it, so it's okay. But I thought, it's just plain on the back. But that's like a really cool part of Madison Square Garden history. So I think that's pretty cool. Like, I've always saved it and, you know, taken care of it. So at the end of the day, when I went through and did the locker clean, and once we realized we got rid of all the multiple lockers, all the dead people, and, you know, the people had quit and all that, we had plenty of lockers. There was like 100 empty lockers by the time we got done with that. But it was just so funny. And like, some of the older guys would be like, but this is my locker. And then that's my storage locker. Like, I have the 2. And I'm like, no, you don't have the 2. You get the 1. Everybody gets 1. Yeah, so that was a very interesting first project.